first of all, congratulations on this documentary. It is really spectacular. And as I was just mentioning to you, I mean, for pretty well half of my life, there hasn't been a day that gone by that my husband doesn't talk about Rush, or he's a bass player. My son's a drummer, and the other son's a guitar player. Need I say more? They,
you got the whole unit.
We
right
do.
there.
You guys have been a huge influence on our lives. And when I, called him immediately and told him after I saw this doc, I went, I might even go to a concert with you now, Jeff. Like, seriously,
God
this
forbid.
was amazing. How scary, or was it for you guys to have these two filmmakers come into your life and just dig in the way they did?
It wasn't so bad. First we took pity on them, because when they first approached us, we told them that, you're gonna feel bad in 6 months when you find out how boring we are. So, we just felt like we should help them along the way and give them some access. But, they weren't really that invasive. I handed over all my personal photos and things that I had in crates in the basement, and they were smart enough for some of the backstage stuff to hire a friend of ours who knew us well and we were comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So seeing him with a camera backstage was really pretty normal. Yeah. So they were very respectful, I would say.
Now, the footage in this film is unbelievable. Alex, who the hell shoots them sitting around a table telling your parents that you want to drop out of school?
Well, I spoke for millions of 17-year-olds around the world. I was in a film called Come On Children by Alan King. I was, one among about 500 people that auditioned for it, just school kids. The premise was that 10 kids would move onto a farm in Newcastle, Ontario, and they would film in a cinema verite style 10 weeks and record the dynamics of this thrown together group. The film was very boring at the time, and the distributor decided not to release it. And it wasn't really until about 10 years ago that it was finally released to some of the, specialty networks. That was one day when the parents came up for a visit and lunch, and it was a nice day and everything. And we were just sitting around the table, and that's really only just one small moment in a longer discussion that all the kids were having about who we thought we were.
God, amazing stuff. I'm thinking, oh God, should I be shooting more of my children, what they're doing right now? Like, who knows, right down the road.
Well, it's easier now than it was in 1971.
That's for sure. You can just take out your phone.
Make sure you shoot all your arguments.
Every single one.
Well, we've been shooting my son's band from day one, so let's hope he follows in your footsteps. Now, guys, I just wondering, going back on this process and looking back at your lives for the last 40 years, did you learn anything new about yourselves?
Yeah, I learned that I made some very bad fashion decisions early in my life. And that will haunt me forever now that this is put on film. So it's really weird to look at a film about yourself. I find it very uncomfortable. I find the early stuff humorous to look at, but it's kind of an out-of-body experience. And when we cut to modern day shots of Alex and I talking, I mean, I've seen him talk for 45 years. It's not my idea of a way to spend the evening, but certainly looking back that far was fascinating even for us. I think.
Amazing that you kept all that stuff. It's just fantastic for us as fans to look at it.
Well, Scott and Sam are very resourceful. They dug up stuff that we've never even heard of or seen. And it's really quite incredible, some of the things they got.
Yeah, and when people like that come into your life, it forces you to dig through the basement. And it's amazing what you hoard away.
Your wife must have been thrilled that you got to clean out a little bit.
Exactly. And the nice thing is we got to actually copy all that stuff onto a digital format. So now it's preserved for whatever. So my kids can ignore it for future generations.
Oh, please. Yeah, I'm sure. Now, were you guys kind of even surprised at some of the other rock bands who were interviewed for this? Billy Corgan, will Kiss because you've been on tour with him and stuff. But they were like, I'm not worthy. Were you kind of surprised at the stuff that was coming out of these guys' mouths?
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
We heard, over the years that we have been a musical influence on some of these artists, and all artists that we admire and respect as well. But we'd never heard them speak so eloquently about their feelings about our influence on their musical careers. And that was, honestly, it was really, really moving and very touching for us.
Yeah, it's one thing to hear that, so-and-so is a fan. It's another thing to hear them, wax poetic about how deeply they were into our music. So that was quite intense.
Yeah, and there's so much, we learn about you guys, but what I was so impressed with was that, that Neil spoke the way he did in this movie and was really honest about, it's not that I don't like my fans, it's just how he is. And when he spoke about the tragedies in his lives, did the filmmakers have to prod him to do that, or was that just, to me, I'm sure it was genuine. You were all genuine guys.
Yeah.
But that was just an amazing part of the film to watch that and hear him talk like that.
Well, he's becoming increasingly more candid as he gets older, and he didn't have to be prodded. I mean, you wind him up and he'll talk. He's a good talker when you get to know him. No, and they had him in a comfortable situation and asked him questions, and he's going to be honest.
Yeah, it was quite moving. Your longevity, like you say, you guys known each other since Fisherville. My God, wow.
Since before Fisherville.
Like that's insane. That's that you guys have not just sustained a friendship, but a working business relationship, and still to this day are good pals. How do you do this?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's been long enough.
I think so too. I'm glad you brought that
I'm
up.
never going to talk to you again.
As soon as this was over, I really wanted
That's
to talk
right,
to you
yeah.
about not seeing you ever again.
Yeah, this is an exclusive, folks. They're breaking up. No, they're not.
No, it's not breaking up. We just don't want to see each other ever again.
But seriously, I mean, going on tour together, spending as much time as you have. I mean, married couples don't even last that long.
That's true.
Seriously, what is it about, even the three of you, why do you connect so well? Why does it work?
Well, aside from being mentally unbalanced
And goofs.
and emotionally immature, there's three things that we obviously get asked this question a lot, and there's three things I come back to. Number one, for some stupid reason, we have a lot of respect for each other. And that means that when you're having a discussion, you give each other the benefit of the doubt. You take them at their word. Two, we've never allowed financial, matters to get in the way of our willingness to play together and to enjoy each other. And three, we have a really good sense of humor that's kind of unique, and we share it, and we laugh a lot together. And without that, I don't think, no matter what the other reasons are, without that bond that we feel when we get into a room, like we just get silly when we get together, and it stays like that through the recording sessions. It stays like that through any business meetings, even more so in business meetings. So we just enjoy each other.
Yeah, you just got into the Rock and Roll Songwriters Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I would think that had to be one of the most important things to both of you, or to all three of you. I mean, to write songs, to be acknowledged in Canada for that, that's fantastic.
Absolutely. And in the company of the other people in that Hall of Fame, Joni Mitchell, Leonard Cohen, Gordon Lightfoot, it's a real honor for us as Canadian songwriters to be in there with them.
Yeah, and especially since, when most people think of Canadian songwriters, they think of folkies, they think of those great singer-songwriters. So it's nice as a band, as weird as we are, to be accepted in that company is even more special, I think.
Now you're going back on tour, and you have, your 20th studio album coming out any day soon? We're number 20 now,
well,
I think?
Not quite.
We're not releasing an album yet. We're just releasing a couple of tracks from the forthcoming.
Yeah, 20% of that 20th album.
It'll get there. But to be back on tour, what's it like now to be on tour as opposed to, 30 years ago? Are you still enjoying it? Are you still getting that rush from the fans?
Oh, yeah. The performance is the whole thing, right? We love to play, and we nowadays, because we don't use an opening act, it's just us. We do a 3-hour show, and that's the whole day is leading up to and falling away from that 3 hours where we get to do what we want to do. The rest of it has changed a lot. 40 years ago we were driving around in the station wagon, sleeping on baggage, sleeping on the floor, but because we were kids, we could just bounce back from that and do a show. But our shows in those days were 26 minutes that the headliner allowed us to play.
Isn't that one song of yours just 26 minutes?
Almost one song.
Yeah, so, and now, of course, we take all kinds of consideration to make sure that we're comfortable and we're happy and all that stuff.
Healthy.
Well, yeah, like I say, congrats on this doc. It really is fabulous. One of my faves I've seen in a long time, and
Oh,
it's just
thanks.
a huge
great. Thank
pleasure
you.
to talk to both of you. It's a big influence in my life. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Great
Thank
meeting
you.
Thank you. And if you guys don't mind signing
Sure.
this, Ray, I'll get